Hi everybody, all my followers, be welcome to another video. The video today is on this 2012 Vauxhall Astra 1.7 CDTI, and I know it's a 1.7 because if you follow the channel you've seen that we took parts from this one to compare with the parts from that one. So, and actually while we are waiting for the parts for the Mariva, we're gonna actually be working on this. I don't have much time today, but we'll do what we can. So, what I was told that this car had glow plugs replaced. I don't know if they replaced them all, because I believe the glow plugs on this car is those with the pressure sensor, whatever that is, which they cost about 100 and odd pounds each, or close to 100 pounds. So don't know if 400 pounds have been just spent on 4 glow plugs on this thing, but I was told they were replaced, and the car is coming up with a service soon warning. Now I don't know if that warning was here before. He didn't tell me that, but it looks to me like they replaced them because of that, maybe. I don't know. He just said he's coming up with a service soon, and yeah, then that's why he wanted me to look at. When the car was dropped, I could not see that fault, but he reckons if I leave the car off and then start it up, whatever, it will happen. So I haven't started the car since yesterday. Just unlocked the car today to take the part that you guys have seen, and I haven't started the car. So we're going to try to start the car and see what happens. So, right, let's see what happens. And what happens is there's no battery. Really? The car was just here locked all night, so clearly the battery on this thing is bad. Right, first thing, let them know I want a battery for this. Okay, and this is actually a few days later, so I haven't done anything else on the car after the last clip, which was Friday. Today is Monday. Yeah, Monday. So I literally texted the owner of the car, as you can see there. So I told him, and basically guys, within 2 hours he dropped me the battery, although obviously it's winter now. By the time he dropped me the battery, it was already dark, so I haven't touched this. So all I'm going to do now is quickly change the battery, put that battery, and then start this thing to see if we can then see what the problem is, and I can show you the fault, which I haven't seen yet as well, but hopefully once we get it running we should be able to see that service soon, and then we'll give it a scan. I'm gonna get the Maxi quickly as well. We'll give it a good scan and we'll try to figure out what's wrong with it. Okay, new battery installed, and now let's see if we can start this thing as we were trying last time. So, right.
That and those women's lives.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so vehicle soon. There we go, straight away. Wow, okay, here we go. Our fault. Vehicle soon, that's the only thing he says. Let me see, because I think you can flick through these menus. No, it's not here. Where it is there. Okay, so this is for to land the windows. Okay. Now the passenger side. This is just to land the windows, stop points, etc. Okay, so now we are back to the other menu, and the service soon is gone, as you have seen. So let's gonna get the car out of here. Actually, I don't even need to get the car out of here, but I will anyway. Even because he's here on the grass, and the missus is not very happy with me. Okay, so now if I put the car here against the wall, that's better. Okay, leave it here. So there we go. Now, okay, so now let's gonna connect the maxi-sys and see if we find out anything. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do here, I was to go straight to the engine control module, but I'm not sure if that service soon is related to that. Most likely it is. So, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do an auto scan, let the car to do the auto scan, and then we'll go from there. There is a fault in there already, so it might be that that's our problem. Don't know. Let's gonna wait and see what we have. Okay, so the scan is finished, and this is the modules with faults. Okay, let's gonna go quickly to the radio. I know it's probably not the issue we are looking for, but just curiosity, see what we have in there. History. Okay, so codes are history. Obviously the low battery when I was trying to crank, possibly before the car was brought to me, that was happening as well. So who knows what this car has been through. It's still with a fault left. I thought they were both. Okay, so that's current, sorry. So radio, so it looks like a speaker, maybe. Not bother with that. Not really bother with that. Multi-axis acceleration sensor, that most likely. Okay, so most likely the low battery that might have caused this. Same thing, because it's the radio that does the chime, I'm guessing, so obviously the faults are going to be the same. Now let's gonna go to the one I actually believe is causing this problem, with water pump clutch. I'm not sure if it's a water pump clutch or not, so I'm gonna say, I don't know, I don't know if that makes a difference. Oh Jesus, I just said it's not equipped and now it comes up with a engine coolant. Oh man. Okay, so P261A, engine coolant pump control circuit malfunction. Now let's gonna see where that pump is. Okay, now let's gonna do an inspection first. Okay, and the car is indeed installed with a clutch water pump. The plug is in there. I unplugged this myself. This is the plug, but as you can easily see, someone has been here in several different places, as you can probably see in there. So don't know why, don't know what happened, but the weather is absolutely terrible today. So what I'm going to do is, it's raining now, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to try to put the car somewhere in there while we're waiting for the parts for the Mariva. The Mariva is completely on the way. I should have put the Mariva against the fence, but well, I'm going to try to see if I can squeeze in there somehow so we can work under the little roof. But yeah, so I don't know, is this a bad clutch? Is this something on this wiring? I'm not 100% sure. Let's go and investigate and see if we can find out what the problem is. Okay, and I completely forgot. I promised the guy I'll change the touchscreen on this thing today. This is a POS from a restaurant, and I completely forgot. I told the guy I'll do this today, so I'm gonna have to find time to get this done. Anyway, nothing to do with this video. So before we jump into anything on the car, like, I don't know, start to change the water pump or something like that, we're gonna have to obviously inspect the circuit first, make sure everything is okay on the control side of things. Then if we do get to the conclusion that something is wrong with the pump itself, then obviously we will do things accordingly. But the first thing we're going to do, guys, is check in the system, and I'm going to quickly take you through on how the system works. It's a rather simple system, really, for that clutch. So you have the clutch here. Pin number 2 is going to be the control side from the engine ECU, which is going to be a ground. So the engine ECU will ground this wire to activate the clutch, and that's going to go on the engine ECU, the plug with 66 pins, and it's going to be pin A64. So I'm going to guess it's going to be plug A, and that's going to be pin 64, and that's the ground side. The positive side, or the voltage side, is pin number 1. That comes all the way. There is a splice somewhere before it gets to its destination, which they call it X07. We hope there's nothing wrong on this splice. And then that continues to the under the hood control unit, or the fuse box if you wish. Pin 6 on the 50 pin plug. This is the plugs that plugs underneath the fuse box. We can pull out the fuse box and check the wire that way, but we don't have to, because from that pin it goes straight to fuse 02, a 10 amp fuse. So we should be able to measure continuity from this fuse all the way to the end, to the plug. That fuse is fed by the main relay, which is K04, which I don't think we're gonna have any issues here. Otherwise we would have, because this is not the only thing on this circuit, there's a lot of other things, and I think if there was a problem here, we would have way bigger problems than just the water pump clutch. K04 is fed by fuse 05, a 300 amp fuse, which I believe is the fuse on top of the battery, one of those big ones. So yeah, and then K04 is controlled by the engine ECU on pin A57, blah blah blah. It doesn't really matter, we don't need to go that further back. So all you need to do for now is find this fuse 02 and measure the fuse from here all the way to there. Okay, if the circuit is good, then we either have a problem on this side or we have a problem with the clutch itself. Okay. Now, with this explanation, let's gonna jump into the car and start to do some measurements. Okay, so fuse box. We are looking for fuse number 2, 10 amps, and according to my thingy here, my fuse number 2 is gonna be this one here, 0102. And the fuse visually looks, you can't really see it, can you? But it looks good to me. But obviously we're not going to trust my eyes, because they might be wrong. So let's going to get some tools and start to do some measurements. So let's go. Measure the fuse first. Fuse is actually good. And now let's gonna go. It is me, or I can see a little bit of corrosion on the top of this. That's strange. There is definitely a little bit of greenish, 100%. Definitely a little bit of yeah, there is. Now if you can see, I don't know how good the camera is going to capture this, but can you see in there? I just pulled this one out, but every other one that I pulled out, you see how there is at the bottom. Could we have a poor contact on this fuse that was triggering the system to think there was a problem when it wasn't? I'm not sure yet. So let me think. So let's gonna pull, actually, let me move the phone maybe like this. And it is a little bit windy, so I'm going to apologize for any noises that might... There is definitely no windy today. So the plug is here. Here's the one that goes to the ECU. Let's check the other one. Yeah, so this one definitely comes straight to the fuse. There we go. With a 0.5 ohms. So this circuit is good, nothing wrong up to the fuse. So let's just check the next one, which is from here to the engine ECU. Not sure which plug it is. Ooh, duct tape. What the heck? Why do we have duct tape here? What? Duct tape. That's interesting. So there is duct tape. I haven't seen this. There's duct tape with some cable ties around here. I don't know what happened here. Let's gonna investigate. Okay, I don't know why, but there is a cable tie all the way around holding this plug. So I'm not really sure what happened here, but let's gonna try to pull these out somehow. Or maybe cut it, and then if it needs really this, I'll put it back, but for now let's just carry on digging into this a little bit more. It makes sense now. So obviously, as you might do know, so what happens for this to hold in place is when you open this like so. Let me see if I can put this in place. Anyway, so you see these indentations. These are supposed to clip into these sort of pins, and all the pins have been broken. I don't know if you can see. There's a little bit of it, but this is broken, the bottom is broken, and on the other side as well, and they are both gone. You can see the place in there where they used to be. So I don't know what happened here, how they broke, but they are definitely broken. So someone just put this cable tie to keep the plug in place. Okay, so the only thing we need to do now is measure the other pin and then just make sure that this is actually connected correctly. Although this is a clutch, it shouldn't really make a difference which way you plug this in, but pin number 1, let me see if it was pin number 1 that was going to here. Yeah, so that's correct. Pin number 1, and then pin number 2, which is going to be this one here. Should go to A64, which is the bottom plug, the smaller one. Bang on. There we go. 0.9. Yeah, so the circuit looks good. The only thing we need to make sure now is that we have voltage on these fuse in there when the ignition is on. And that's it really for now, so that's the next step, is see if we have voltage in there. And just before I move on, I just thought it would be wise, while I have everything disconnected, to measure the resistance of that clutch, of the clutch. So I plugged that back in there, as you can see. It's plugged back into the pump, and I'm measuring A64 against the fuse, and this doesn't sound right, so I'm getting 9 mega ohms. As far as I'm aware, I don't know what I should get, but as far as I'm aware, the clutch is no more than a coil, which when energized creates a magnetic field, and that clamps the clutch together to make the pump to run. Or vice versa, I'm not sure. Sometimes it's the other way around, is the clutch is always engaged, and when it's energized it is engaged. So either way, I don't think that will be correct for a coil, but again, I'm not sure how much I should be getting there. So I think I'm going to do one last test before I actually go and check voltage and all that stuff, and I think you guys know exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I have the ground in that pin in there, 64, and then I have the voltage that's going to be going. Where is that? So this is the probe that's at the other end where the fuse is. So when I apply voltage here, I should hear the clutch clamping down there, and I can tell you that when I do it, there's no noise whatsoever coming from there. So I start to think that the clutch is bad, whatever happened in there, and I think these 9 megaohms, whatever that was reading on that circuit, just starts to prove that. Am I going to try to see if I can find... Oh no, I damaged this. Oh no. And I think I'm starting to see... what was I saying? Yeah, so the resistance on that circuit to me starts to show what the problem might be. Looks like is the clutch, but let's going to put everything back on and just make sure we have at that plug we have the engine commanding the pump. Okay, so the apparatus is rather simple. So we have the Maxis is in there, ignition is on, and I have my test light connected to the black lead, which goes to pin number 1, and then the end of the test light connected to the red test lead, which goes to pin number 2, which was the voltage and ground from the engine ECU. And now we should have a constant voltage there. The only thing you should be missing now is the ground. It doesn't really matter. This test will show me either way. So one thing I had to do on the tool is, because I already checked, I had to come out completely off the car and re-log in everything again. And when, if you remember back when I was logging into this, he asked me if it was a water pump clutch, and I said no. And then when I came here to active tests, that option didn't show. So I had to go out completely off the car, re-log in again, and then when the tool asked me if it was a clutch installed, I said yes, and now I have the option there for the coolant clutch relay. Obviously there's no relay as such. What you do have is an internal MOSFET, I guess, that's going to turn on and off and actuate the clutch. So when I press this active now, that button in there, my test light should illuminate. Let me get here so I can show you both at the same time. So if everything is good, that's going to illuminate, which will determine with pretty much no doubt that my problem is the clutch itself, which to me that 9 megaohms reading already start to point that way. But let's just going to reconfirm. So when I press active, there we go. No questions asked, guys. The circuit, so let's kind of disable the circuit now. Off. And I think I cannot do it again. Oh no, yes I can. So active again, there we go. Deactivate, there we go. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, let me do one more thing, just because we can. So it's plugged in again, in there. I don't know if you can see, there it is, plugged in. And I'm going to press active. And trust me, it's not a sound coming from there. And I'm pretty sure we should hear a sound. I'm going to try to see. Okay, and I do apologize for the abrupt cut. Well, I don't know how I'm going to edit and how the transition is going to be, but it was an abrupt sort of cut after the last clip, because I did something else. But watching it back, it didn't really make much sense. Well, it did make sense to me, but not for the diagnosis of what we are working on. So where are we at the moment? So at the moment, I'm a little bit confused. So one, I could not find reliable information on what resistance I should have on that clutch circuit when we measured the actual circuit that goes into the clutch of the coolant pump. I would say quite confidently that 10 megaohms is not what it should have. Something like that, I would, when you measure like solenoids and electronic sort of valves with coils and circuits, usually is around 10 ohms. That's what you would expect, somewhere around there. 10 megaohms is definitely not. So I was quite convinced that my problem was the pump. But when I was looking for information on what resistance I should have, I actually found something else, which is this. I will leave a link in the description below because you can find this quite easily on a Google search. But as you can see from that TSB, that bulletin, and this engine, by the way, is the DTE A17 DTE. Looks like there is an issue on the software in relation to the coolant pump. And as you can see in there, if you read everything, it says that normally, or I would have to open it to read it myself. But it says that usually is not the coolant pump fault, is a software problem. So maybe the way the ECU looks for the health of the control of the coolant pump was not the correct way. Maybe as the clutch, the circuit with time, resistance would start to change and the ECU would start to see a fault when it was not a fault. So a software update would cure the problem. However, and that's my thing here, I could go for a software update and see if that would resolve the problem. But the reading on that circuit to me tells me is making all my bells ringing, that I think I might have a combination of two. Maybe I put the coolant pump and another one and I still have the same problem. Then I need the software update. But to me, it looks like if I just do the software update, it's not going to fix the problem because that circuit is not measuring what I think it should be measuring. Even though I don't know what I should be measuring, but 10 mega ohms to me, it looks definitely wrong. So with this in mind, I'm going to try to look. I already asked for help a few people to see if anyone can find that information for me on OEM stuff. Obviously, this being a 2012, my offline stuff doesn't cover anymore. Yes, I could pay online on Service Box to get access to the documentation and try to find out what exactly I should have on that circuit, but hopefully someone will get back to me with the right numbers. So that's where we are. One thing though, if I do end up changing that coolant pump, I will definitely do the software update regardless, purely because I think if there is an issue there and we put a new pump, it might be a matter of time until that same problem comes back, because obviously the TSB shows that being a issue with the software. I've checked already on the tool and the software is original from I would have to put the ignition on. It is the software from 2012, so the car has never been updated. The last software update is dated 2012, which is the year the car was manufactured. So that's where we are at the moment. So I think this is going to be a software update and a coolant pump replacement. I will take you through both, though the software update, I've done many videos in the past on how this is done, so I'm not going to cover that too much in detail. The replacement of the coolant pump, yes, I might try to take you through some details as we go along. But first of all, I need to ring the owner, tell the owner what I think what he's going to need, and ask him how he wants to proceed. If he wants, well, he's going to have to get me the parts, the coolant pump, and we go from there. But that's, guys, how far we got so far. That's how far we go to now, and yeah, that's it. Hope this information so far it makes sense, and you guys know, and it makes sense what I'm saying here. And that's it. So don't go anywhere. I will see you straight after. There it is, and looking at this, you can imagine that yes, I'm gonna change this and get it all sorted. We have the go ahead, airbox out, engine support out. No rocket science. There is 3 bolts. There's 1 bolt here, 1 bolt here, and 1 nut on the side for this, and then there's 3 bolts on the engine support, and then the engine support, there's another bracket that goes to the engine block with 3 bolts. guys, it's no rocket science, nuts and bolts, easy to go for. Obviously the engine now has no support on this side, so for that we do have a jack in there holding the engine in place. And I can see all this dust around here. Don't know if you can notice this dust around here. I don't know what we're gonna find when we get to the pump, but I think the next step is going to be taking the drive belt, the auxiliary belt, the tensioner. Which one is the tensioner? Which one is the tension? I think the tension is that one in there, if I'm not mistaken. I was trying to see which one would move. None of them moves, but I think this is the tensioner because that is a fixed position here, I think. At least it looks like. So the tensioner must be this one. So we're going to take this off, and then am I going to take the pulley out so we can see the bolts. It looks like there is a plate. This plate here needs to come off by the looks of it. There's a bolt here and then that here. That should come off. 3 bolts for this belt, for this pulley. And yeah, I'm trying to figure it out as I go along, but again, nuts and bolts, nothing too rocket science here. So let's gonna carry on and see how far we get. Yes, it is dark now, guys. I'm using it's completely pitch black, but I'm trying to get a little bit ahead of this. The owner is gonna bring me the parts, that's already agreed. So might not gonna bring it today, but doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to get ahead a little bit in the job. So that's where we are. Okay, I do apologize for the light. Just one quick note: undo these bolts before you remove the belt, because I did the mistake of removing the belt first, and now I had to wrap the belt around and use the breaker bar to stretch the belt to be able to hold these. And I think this is done. I'm gonna do the other one now. Okay, so my advice is undo this before you remove the belt. Will make things a little bit easier. Yeah, definitely it doesn't look good. All this dust, as you can see in there, it definitely doesn't look good. Look at that. So I think something is gone here. That's going to remove the water pump and give it a better inspection on the bench. There it is, guys. The pump is out. Let me see if I can show you where it goes. So there it is. That's where it goes. Yeah, there is a seal here that we're going to have to replace as well. So the pump is out, and now I just want to show you. I don't think so how bad this is. So it's full of this dust inside. So yeah, so this is the top. You can see all these brown powder. And I'm not really sure what happened here, but ideally we would be able to somehow pull these out. Don't know if it's possible to dismantle this thing. Just curiosity, but it's definitely gone, this thing. So just a quick note: by default the clutch is always engaged, so the pump is always driving, as you can see here. So what the clutch does is disengage the water pump. And the reason why it does it is, for example, cold start, to warm up the engine a little bit quicker. So if this engages the water pump, the pump stops circulating, and obviously the engine is going to warm up quicker. So that's the principle behind this. But normally, in a normal status, if you will, the clutch is always engaged, so it's always driving. And when this is energized, disengage the clutch and the water pump stops. That's why the engine runs okay with no overheating or anything like that. So there it is. I don't know if I can get any further with this by dismantle this. Then now, just as curiosity, I will see what I can do, but I don't think I don't have any pullers or anything like that to pull these out. It's going to be a little bit of a tricky one. Okay guys, a few days later, just left night shift, few hours sleep in the morning, and I was all excited, thinking I would be getting rid of this car today, finish it off and get rid of it. Unfortunately, that's not happening. So as you can see there, we have 2 pumps now. That's what the owner brought me, aftermarket obviously, and I'll get to that in a bit. The first thing I want to show you is just the difference between the aftermarket and the original. And my only question is that impeller performing, will this impeller perform the same as this one with a completely different design? Probably it will. It might be that it even performs better, I don't know, but there is definitely clear difference between the impellers on these two water pumps. Second thing, but that would be the least of my worries, is the gasket. This is a paper gasket. The original gasket is a metal gasket, okay, but that would be the least of my worries, as I said, because we have way bigger problems now. Apparently, as you can see, there is a difference here. To start, one thing at a time. So to start with, this hub, if you will, where the pulley bolts in, is completely different. As you can see, it doesn't even fit, okay, and it does have 4 fixing holes, while the original one just have 3. Now these would probably work and fit in place if I did have the correct pulley. Unfortunately, I don't have the pulley. The guy only brought it like this. You can buy these with the pulley already, with a different pulley, obviously, same size pulley, etc., but with a different fitting. And you can buy it like that, and then they will fit. However, there's a couple of things to me that are a little bit odd. And before I explain you what I mean by that, is let me just show you how this one works actually. I think I already showed you on the past video how this works, but the way this clutch works is, I don't know if you can see here, in between these 2 plates, between these here, these sort of, you can see these 3 parts here, this part, that part, and that part, okay? So this is the clutch, this is the part that is driven by the belt, and this is the part that is connected to the impeller, okay? And this is what clamps these 2 parts together. You can see this sort of piece of metal here that runs that way, and then it goes back the other way again, and then comes back this way, goes back that way. So these guys is a spring here in the middle. This piece of metal, this thin piece of metal, is like a spring. And let me put the pump on a vise so I can actually show you this in action. Well, I can't really show you this in action because this is broken. I already tried to put voltage. We already know it's broken, but I just tried just in case. And so if I secure this part, all right, let me put the camera a little bit closer, like so. So if I put this part on a vise, as you can see, I can't turn that. I can't turn anything. It's completely, it's one piece, so I can't turn this. I can turn this, but obviously the impeller stays in the same place because I'm just moving the housing, okay? As you can see, I'm moving the housing, not that part. Now what happens when you apply voltage to here is you're going to disengage the magnet, and what happens is, obviously in reality I don't think this will move, but it will unclamp magnetically. You're going to see that this ring is going to move from this bottom part when I do this. See that? You see? You see? Unclipping. Okay, so if I push it down, you see? You see how this moves up and down? And I'm going to do the back now. And now I'm going to try to turn this top bit. Let me just make sure it's completely, yeah. I'm going to try to turn this top bit, which is where the pulley would be, and you're going to see that all of these just going to slide on there. You see that? And now, because there's no voltage applied, and this is not working anyway, what's going to happen is slowly this spring here in between is going to start to push this against that, and eventually I'm not going to be able. I just can't turn it anymore. I can give 1 or 2 turns and then that's it. So if I pull it out again, there we go. I can turn it, and now it starts to make. That's it. I can't turn it anymore. So I can give 1 or 2 turns. So if voltage was if this was working and I could apply voltage to these 2 wires constantly, these would just spin freely from this all the time. So this is how it works, this clutch system. So this, I guess, is going to be an electric magnetic coil, something like that, that when it's energized creates a magnetic field that's going to push slightly these away from there, and it's going to allow it to turn. And then when that magnetic field goes away, this goes there, because this is not magnetic, it's just a ferrous part. So this, with the pressure of the spring, this just clamps into there, and then it just turns the whole thing. Okay, so now into the next one. I'm not sure, I've been here and I'm not sure how the hell the clutch on this system here works. I have no clue whatsoever. I don't know, because this looks like just a coil around the bearing here, and for the sake of me, I don't understand how the hell this is going to disengage from here with no real clutch in here. I dare to say, and I don't want to just say it yet, because this, I would try it. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to send this pump back, or the owner is going to collect it, because he's going to get me the right part, not me. But I would dare to apply voltage to this and see what would happen, because this is about to be picked up to send back. I don't want to do anything that then I'm going to be accused of damaging it or something like that, so I'm not going to touch it. But when you apply voltage here, I should be able to separate these two parts. That's the principle, and I don't see how this thing just around here is going to achieve that. To me, sounds like, I might be wrong guys, but it sounds like this is just a fake part, and this is just here to fool the ECU that there is a clutch and etc, etc. I don't think this is a real thing. I might be wrong, but it doesn't sound like it's a real thing to me. Plus another thing that was a little bit odd, and that, yes, I measured it, but I'm going to wait for the other part and then I can show you all the measurements. When I measure these, I only get 1.5 kilo ohms. Yes, I was getting about 9 mega ohms on that one, which is completely wrong, obviously, nearly an open circuit. But this one, it only gives me 1.5 kilo ohms. I was expecting way more than that. I was expecting around 10 ohms or something like that, not in the kilo ohms range. So yeah, at the moment I'm waiting for the owner. He reckons he's going to be able to get me the right part from somewhere. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait and see what happens. Also, understandably, the guys tried to get an aftermarket part, because Vauxhall wants £495. This is with VAT included, that's without. There's a few pence after, but it doesn't really matter. Pretty much £500 for that. So understandably, the guys tried to get an aftermarket. At this point, I just don't know if it wouldn't be better just to get the right thing, because if there's no clutch on this thing, which honestly I don't see how it is, but if there is no clutch, that will just defeat the purpose of the clutch water pump. Although the car will drive fine and probably you'll never notice, will not make a difference, or will not make much of a difference. But the reality is it was designed with a clutch, and I don't know, guys. It's just a little bit right. I'll leave it to it. You can think whatever you want about what I've just told you. I'm just gonna wait for the right water pump to be delivered by the owner. I think he's gonna come and collect this one tonight. So that's it. That's where we are so far, and that means I'm not gonna do the car today. Actually, it was a wasted afternoon. I haven't done anything because I got the wrong parts. Okay, I don't want to waste too much time with this because it is what it is, and it's too late now as well. But I just want to show you that I've done a massive mistake, which was impossible for me to guess. But I don't know, I could have done things differently. Thinking back, I could have done things differently, but it is too late now. Definitely is too late now. So but to start with, as you can see, we have the pump here, the pump that the owner brought me, the other pump, which is essentially the same as the other one we had here, but this one came with a pulley with 4 holes, okay, rather than the other pulley that only has 3. This one has 4. Same type of gasket, obviously, and it does come ironically with 4 genuine bolts to put to the pulley. Okay, but what I want to take you through, so first of all, is I just want to take you through that we're gonna test it, but I'm 99% convinced that this is not a clutch pump. This is just here to simulate the clutch, to fool the ECU, to think there's nothing wrong with this, when in reality there is an issue because there's no clutch. And I'm going to try to prove that there is no clutch here at all, and this is just a mimic, if you will. I'm not saying that Vauxhall might have actually revised the whole thing and it came up with a delete thing for this system. It could have been that Vauxhall realized that this was an issue or it was not needed and launched something like this. This is aftermarket, by the way, but I'm not saying that Vauxhall hasn't done that, and with the software updated, just eliminated this thing or something along those lines. I'm not saying that. Usually manufacturers don't really do that, but you never know. It could be that. If I had the chance to actually see the replacement genuine pump, then we could discuss that. If they would send me one like this, then would still work as a clutch system. If they would send me something like this, then it would be different. The truth is, all the aftermarket ones I've seen, from a little bit of research, is all this thing. So I haven't seen anything aftermarket even close to this with an actually proper clutch. Everything is something like this, again, to mimic the actually clutch resistance, whatever. But oh dear, what I would really want to take you through very quickly, and I'm not gonna, as I said, I'm not gonna spend too much time because the damage is done. It's too late now to do anything. So what I did, and some of you are gonna say, well, if you had the right tools, yes, whatever. The truth is, this was broken and was no point to waste too much time. But all I wanted to do was I want to try to see if I could pull these out. So what I've done is I put this on a vise and I just hammer the crap out of this shaft here, and I kind of start to pull it apart. As you can see here, it came out a little bit. In the meantime, I broke some stuff inside because they start to break. Okay, there's a kind of a layer of this stuff, and I'm not sure what it is. The impeller also snapped in a few bits. It doesn't really matter. But the bit that is really annoying, guys, and yes, it's I couldn't guess, guys, but is that when I was hammering this, the resin that is around here where the wires would go in there, so that resin started to crack and eventually came off, this yellow sort of stuff. And when this came off, exposed these two contacts, and at this point it crossed my mind, let me measure how much we have in there. And you can't really see it like that. Can you see it like this? You can see it like this. Actually, you can see better like this. Okay, so when I measure these two contacts, look at that, 10 ohms, which was exactly what I was expecting to see on the plug. But then at the time, the wires were still soldered here, and these were still all here in place. And then I thought, hold on a second, if I have 10 ohms here and I was getting 9 kilo ohms, 9 mega ohms on here, what the heck? So I measure here again 9 mega ohms. Measured here, 10 ohms. So I'm sure you guys can start to guess what we have. Let's put this plug here. What I want to see is the following. So red wire, so this side to that side, we do have 0.7 ohms, right? Now it's going to measure from this side to the black wire. Yes, something from this pin to here, something failed. If I knew this beforehand, I could have fixed this, because all I had to do was remove this here, maybe even take the plug like I did, and either replace the plug or just, you know, try to find out where it failed, which is a little bit, let me see if I can get a little bit deeper into this to see exactly where the failure is. The failure is located. Okay, and here we have, I've cut the plug in two, and as you can see, this is the red wire, and as you can see here, this is a straight connection from the wire to the pin. The other one, however, I'm going to try to hold it together here again. The black one, however, the wire comes, and then it comes through this component here, which I'm not sure why it is. I would dare to say by the type would be a diode. I'm not sure, but even if it is a diode, it's completely dead. And well, I'll show you quickly. Is that from the wire, like that, from the wire to the bit of copper I have in there that was going to that component. Let me see if I can touch this correctly. I'm not touching it right, am I? There we go. Right there, from the wire at the back to there, 0.3 ohms. But then when I measure here to the pin for the disc, so from the pin to this little wire here for the component, there we go, 12 mega ohms. So whatever failed on this thing was this little component inside the plug itself. So that's why it is. I'm not going to waste more time on this. The only other thing I'm going to show you very quickly, because it's already another 8 minutes, is I'm just going to show you that this is not a clutch. Okay, so this is purely for the video purpose. Voltage in the right orientation, so ground pin 2, voltage pin 1, and I'm holding the hub where the pulley goes, so only the housing turns. But what should happen is, if this is a real clutch, once I apply voltage here, I should be able to spin the actually impeller without spinning that. So the impeller should spin, if that makes sense. So ground, actually twist that in there, and that wire there. There we go. Now when I do this, that's not a clutch, not in a million years. And one last thing just before we go, as you can see, we do have 1.5 kilo ohms on this one. Again, I'm not sure if that's what's supposed to be. Measuring the old one after the plug, as you've seen, there's 10 ohms. Obviously, I'm not sure what that component in there is supposed to be, so I'm not 100% sure if that's what you should have. Is where it comes. Maybe that is 1.5 kilo ohms or 1,500 ohms. That's what it is. So in the end, guys, this is what we have to install on the car. Is what the owner wants. This is going to be one of those jobs where I don't feel like the end result is what's supposed to be, because clearly this pump defeats the purpose of the initial system by just mimic the clutch. If this is what it was, I could have well just leave the old pump and do what the owner actually asked me at some point, which was to just make the warning to go away. So I could have put some resistors at the end of that plug and get rid of the warning that way. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to bodge it. I didn't want to do the wrong job. But in the end, we are not too far out from doing exactly the same by installing this. So the end result makes me feel a little bit like, not uncomfortable, but it makes me feel like the end result is not what's supposed to be. But put that aside, that's what the owner wants, so we're going to do it. So I'm going to put everything back on. I'm not going to really take you through the reassemble. Straightforward stuff. Before I even get there, I will tell you, the bolts that holds the pump, these 5 bolts that holds the pump to the engine block is 24 Newton meters. The pulley to the pump itself, I don't have a clue. I'm gonna have to turn on the computer and find out, but usually it's around, I don't know, it's gonna be probably about, I don't know, maybe 15 or 10 or something along those lines. Guys, do it by hand. If you do it by hand, you can't really get wrong. It's just 4 little bolts, don't over tight. That's it. So I'm gonna put everything back on, and then I guess I will catch you back when we are ready to start the engine. Okay, a couple things here. Obviously, make sure you clean the block where the pump goes, which I obviously did before I put the pump. The pump is not tight yet. I just thought I would cover these here quickly, just in case. So there's one bolt in there. Let me see if I can put the phone in a way, in a position where you can actually see the bolt. So that bolt right there at the back, right there. So that bolt in there, okay. You can only get to it if you pull the tensioner out of the way or you remove the tensioner. So obviously I'm working alone and I didn't want to have to remove the tensioner. So the way I've done it, to take it off was the same thing, and to put it back on now, I'm doing exactly the same, which is I'm using this breaker bar to tilt the tensioner, and then I'm using this screwdriver to hold the breaker bar in place. So that gives me room for this tool to just pass right there after the tensioner and reach that bolt. Otherwise the tensioner it will be on the way. Okay, so normally I would probably do a time lapse now, putting everything back on, but the video I'm sure is probably already long enough, so I'm not going to do it. All I'm going to do now is literally put everything back on, and that's it. So it's going to do this quickly. And here it is, all done, everything back in place. Only thing left is put some coolant, refill the system, and put some in the trays, etc, etc. But it's all ready to do that, and then we'll start the car and see what happens. Okay, so all filled in up to the mark, so which is this top mark here. I'm expecting it to drop slightly as we start the engine and the coolant starts to circulate. The car is also not leveled, so but there is a yellow breather here at the top, which I've opened until all the air came out. Not a lot came out, to be fair with you, and there is fluid here right at the top, which this point is lower than the tank, so it should be okay. Pressed a little bit of the hose around, everything seems okay, so I think it's time to start the car and see what happens now. This would happen mainly when the engine is cold. So obviously I haven't started the engine now for a few days. This would be more likely to happen when the engine is cold, because the idea of that clutch pump was to, so now when we start the car, the pump should disengage. So the ECU would power that clutch to disengage the clutch, so the water would not circulate. That would help the engine to warm up a little bit quicker. As soon as the engine, I don't know which temperature it is, but as soon as it would reach whatever temperature the ECU would like to see, the clutch would disengage, engage, and would run the water pump, and that's it. Obviously now, as you have seen, the water pump is just going to run always, but the main thing is the car happy with what is going to see now on that new pump, because there is a slightly change of plans, which let's see what happens. Hopefully everything will be fine. Okay, so bonnet open, that's fine. Running. A little bit of a squeak noise in there. Don't know if it was the pump running dry until the water starts to go around. Engine light is on, which is fine. We had airflow meters disconnected and all that good stuff. So let's actually turn it off. That's a weird noise in there. Okay, let's actually plug in the maxi sys and see what that code is. Okay, I've closed the bonnet in the meantime. I don't want any warnings here other than what needs to be. Actually, let me close the door as well. Okay, so the trouble, I should have done this actually before I started the car first time. My fault. There we go. Engine coolant pump, that's fine. It's passed on here now. Since it is clear, designition cycle passed. Meal stats are requested. So this is a good thing. And obviously that was for the airflow meter. No airflow meter, that intake. Is that an airflow meter or just a temperature sensor? I'm not sure. Anyway, the one after on the filter box basically. So what we're going to do, clear these codes. Okay, ignition off. Obviously the engine only ran for about 10 seconds or so, so I do strongly believe the car would still request for that pump to be off. So let's gonna do it and see what happens. Okay, no warnings. Gonna have to make sure we do bleed this system now, so I'm gonna put these. Okay, so I'm gonna make this system to circulate, check the level. Actually, let me get the car on the ground, take it off the ramps. Actually, no, I can't yet because I still need to put the under trays. Oops. So while the engine warms up, I'm going to put the under trays and then go from there. Okay. Okay, so the car is now on the floor. I've just been checking the level. The level is okay. The car is now at about 40 odd degrees, 50 degrees nearly, as you can see there. But I've been here watching something, and I want to make sure it's going to still do it, so you can see it. So EGR coolant, no, that's EGR, engine coolant pump clutch relay command is off. So what I want to show you is that the car is going to switch between on and off. So it's going to try to activate that pump, then it's going to go off. So my only point here is going to be that if the ECU is going to try to do it, if there's a fault on that system, you would throw an engine light or the service soon, and would throw that fault, which was what was doing before. So I'm just gonna start the engine. Let's see if it does it again. I've tried 2 times and it did it. Engine running. There we go. So it opened the clutch, which means it would have disengaged the coolant pump. The coolant pump, yeah, so you would have disabled the pump. and in a second it's going to go back to off. There we go. So at this point, that means the car have tried or attempted to switch that pump, that clutch. So if there was a problem there, I'm hoping that the car would have throw a fault, and as you can see, it throws no faults. Okay, so I'm happy to say that the problem is fixed, and I want to capture this part because in order for the owner to save money, he's not really willing to do the software update unless he really had to. And obviously I can't tell the guy that he needs the software update when the car is actually not throwing the fault anymore. Obviously I advised them, look, to make sure it be 100%, I would do it, but he wants to save a little bit of money for now. So unless the fault comes back again, we're gonna have to leave it like this for now. And it looks like the ECU is happy with the 1.5 kilo ohms. So I would really be interesting to see how much a proper clutch water pump, how much resistance it has on those prongs, on that plug. So if you do have one, it would be interesting if you want to share in the comments below. It'd be really interesting to see how much it is. It might be that it's the 1.5 and that's the correct one, and what I was measuring on the original one after that plug is actually not correct. Or it might be that the range that the ECU is looking for is so big that it goes okay from 10 to 1.5 kilo ohms. Look, I don't know. I just know, as you have seen in there, the car tried to switch the clutch, as you have seen, going on and off, and it throws no faults, which to me means the car is fixed. And for now we're gonna have to bypass the software update, and that's what it is, guys. So that's it. With no further ado, I'm gonna obviously drive the car around the block now. As you can see, it's already getting dark, so I'm gonna drive the car around the block a little bit, just make sure the car doesn't overheat or anything like that, and everything is good. Providing it is, I will ring the guy to pick up the car, and that's it. In the end, it was just a bad clutch on the coolant pump. That's been, well, I'm not going to go over again. So no further ado, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope there's something you find useful, maybe you learned something, who knows. If you do still have any questions or any comments, guys, you know exactly how it works. Just put them below, and like always, thanks for watching.